the amount of cancers that people that ate meat. I said, that's true, sir. That ain't saying they ain't some don't get it. Because traumas in your life can upset the chemistry in your body and you can get cancer. That's a fact. So he said, do you think you can help? I said, I sure can, buddy. I said, that's not a problem. I said, I ain't lost a patient yet. I come to Joe, I said, Joe, it used to hurt my feelings because I thought, man, how can they be that cruel? But he was just being honest. He said, if you come to my practice and you're a diabetic, I know before you die, I will make $40,000 off of you. Because he said, first comes amputations. You know, you'll get bruised and it won't heal. And so they'll take the toe or the ankle or the knee, whatever it is. He said, first comes amputations, second comes blindness, and third comes death. But he said, I know I made 40 grand. Well, I thought that was pretty harsh, but it's a pretty truth. So I guess there's a lot of testimonies. If you take the stuff, if you do right with the stuff and pray about it, the Bible said, I am the Lord thy God that healeth all thy infirmities. So every healing comes from God. That stuff right there can't heal unless it follows God's law. If it follows His law that He has set down. He said, I give you the herbs and the trees for your healing. You follow that practice and believe that and you'll get well. No doubt about it. That's God's law. He ain't never told a story. Now, I don't know that anybody else in the country ever made Spice for Life, you know. But if you follow God's laws, the practices that He put down in the beginning, you will live. And now He guaranteed you 70 years. You know, 70, that's 70. You follow His practices, and He says your days will be shortened for your disobedience to your parents. Well, let's don't do that one because I don't want my days shortened. So if you follow the laws of God, you'll live a good, healthy life, and you won't be near so disappointed when you get to the other side and say, what did I do with my life? Did I help anybody else? As Brother Vale has always taught me, he said, to be a Christian, son, he said, is to live your life for others. Now, that didn't mean you wasn't allowed to make a living. That didn't mean I can't make a profit off of Spice for Life. But I can't gouge people. People that are in need, when they come to you, they're in desperation. Because they've already went to the medical science. Most people haven't did what they could do. So when they come to you, you can merchandise them. It's pretty easy. I hear it all the time, especially in the women. You know, they'll cry when they call me and say they got cancer and they don't want to leave their grandkids, you know. And that's one of the things they'll say. It's easy to take advantage of them. It's easy to make a big buck off of them. But one day I got to stand before my Creator too and say, did you make a decent profit, or was you the giver? Or did you merchandise them people when they was in need? As Brother Bell told me one time, he said, son, the hottest part of hell is for those that took advantage of another person in need. So let's don't take advantage of them in need. Let's do them a favor. I send stuff out free quite often. When I first started with Joel, about everything I did was free. And not only was it free, I spent my gas and time in it and my postage. But down the road, after I did it for a while, my wife would, now you know how wives are, every month she'd look at my credit card, she'd say, you ain't gonna make it. You ain't gonna make that one this month. I'd say, Ma, I'll make it. Won't? She said, there's $5,000 on that credit card. Where's it gonna come from, you know? And they're good budgeters, they should do that, because I'm not that good at doing that side of it. But given it shall be given unto you, seeking you shall find. Knocking the door shall be opened unto you. And them principles that God laid down will never change. It didn't change 6,000 years ago, and it don't change now. Now I'm the evidence that I know that it absolutely did work. It worked for Brother Bell. I watched him give. When he said, Jimmy, when I made $38 a week, and if you want to hear about a high-powered preacher, I'll tell you one that can tell you more things in one sermon than I learned my whole lifetime. He said, when I couldn't make it, and I knew that I couldn't make it, he said, I gave it what I had away. And he said, look at me now. He said, I'm still going, and he's 92. He still ain't dead. And I go for devotions every day, and he goes shopping with us on Thursdays, and he's still a vegetarian, and that's been over 4 years ago, and he just giggles sometimes. He'll say, I was a vegetarian. But he made it. So I guess that's all I got to say. Thank you.
Yeah, Jimmy. Okay. I got 3 requests.
Okay.
I got 3 of your favorite stories that I'd like them to hear, and they're historical, not the the one you heard correct. But anyway, the little girl that received her blue eyes is a favorite
Okay.
story.
That was a miracle.
The city that was healed is a favorite story. Up in Canada, the little
The which one now?
the city up in Canada, the town where the healing took place.
Oh, okay, where Brother Vale was at.
And then the Brother Vale's theory on how I come to be giving him
Okay.
CRISPR products. Those are my three favorites.
Okay, they're good.
If I can capture
First
them, I'll
day
be a
was-
happy camper.
There's a man that I follow what we call the Message, and that's a scriptural Bible thing. He had a healing ministry, and one time in Jeffersonville, Indiana, he died in 1965 in a car wreck, and two Mexican boys crossed the median and hit him head on and killed him. But anyway, he had a healing ministry like that was for real. Don't tell me about TV evangelists and all that stuff, because most of that I've ever seen is just a bunch of phonies running for money. And if you get behind it, you can see they've always got something up there, you know, it says your donations or something another, or if you'll give so much money, you know, it will help the kids in Africa. Baloney, they can help nobody but yourself. But anyway, this little guy was his name was William Marion Branham. And he was just a little country boy that had a tremendous gift from God. And he had prayer lines, and so I'll tell about the little girl first. The boy that seen the miracle is my friend. And his name is Billy Paul Branham, which was Brother Branham's son. But anyhow, he called a prayer line once, and people would come up in the prayer line, and he had a gift of discernment. In other words, he didn't say, I think you got a headache, or I think your back hurts, or I think, you know, you got 3 ex-wives, or you're not married because you ain't got a ring on your finger. He didn't do that kind of junk. He said, sir, you're from, let's say, Sydney, Ohio, and this is your address. And knowing that he hadn't given it to nobody. But anyhow, he had that gift, and that was God's gift. We'll brag on the man because we can touch the man, but no man has seen God at any time. But anyway, this little girl was in the prayer line one day, and Billy Paul, his son, tells the story. And I've shook hands with him lots of times. He's about 70. He'll be 72 this September. But anyhow, he looks pretty good, you know, and stuff. He's bald-headed. But he still looked pretty good, you know. He's healthy. And he said one day, he said, Daddy called a prayer line, and let's say that 25 people were standing in the prayer line. And there was never no phony or fake about it. He said, if God ever fails one time, then he ain't God. He said God never ever told a lie, and he always told the truth. So he said, out of the thousands and thousands of miracles that you people have seen, he said, if you show me one time it's ever failed, he said, I'll put a sign on my back and say I'm a false prophet. Well, it never failed. But anyhow, Billy Paul said, I was sitting there one day in the church on Sunday, and this little girl come up and didn't have no eyeballs. And I'm going to tell you, she was about this high. So I always said, you know, she's 8 or 9 years old. I don't know that, you know. But she just was a little girl. Billy Paul said, I was sitting there, and he said, when Daddy come to children, he always had such a great compassion for children because he had lost a daughter when she was just like so many months old. So he said, he pulled the little girl up to him and he said, honey, and he just said a little simple prayer over it. It wasn't no big long 3-hour sermon, you know. And halfway through his prayer he stopped and he pushed the little girl back. And he said, honey, I forgot to ask you, what color eyes would you like to have? And the little girl spoke and said, Brother Branham, I've always heard that blue was beautiful. So Billy Paul tells the story. He said, Daddy pulled her back to him and finished praying for her. And he said, I seen a light from heaven come through the ceiling and made little swirls just like that. He said, I sat there and seen it. And he said, when Daddy got done praying for her, he never even looked down at her to see if the miracle had happened. He said he pushed her back and turned her around to the audience, and he said, the prettiest blue eyes I ever seen in my life that little girl had. That was for real. See, that's the real God, not the one we see. Well, forget the junk. Let's just worry about the real one. And so in 1947, Brother Vale, the person that I say I sit with every night with devotions, he said, Brother Brown, he said, a little Kentucky hillbilly come to Vancouver, British Columbia. He said, we didn't even know where Kentucky was at. He said, all we